Welcome back to the deep dive. We are stepping into a very specific, and I have to say, a very charged moment in time.
Oh, absolutely.
It is late November 2030. You can feel it in the air, the leaves are finally down. It's got that crispness to it.
Hmm. That football weather.
And if you're a South Carolina fan, I would imagine your heart rate is probably just now finally getting back to a resting pace.
Just now, yeah. It's been a week.
We're waking up the morning after Starkville, and to really truly understand the gravity of where we are right now, looking at this 8-3 record, we have to rewind the tape.
You have to. You have to go back 7 days.
We have to go back to the source of all that anxiety.
To understand the relief, you really have to understand the pressure cooker that created it.
Okay, so make sense for me, because on paper, you look at the score, you see they beat a 3-7 Mississippi State team, you think, okay, good win. It shouldn't feel like surviving a bomb defusal, but it did.
It absolutely did. And that's because of the emotional hangover.
Hmm.
You have to remember, 1 week ago, week 12, Williams-Brice Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the #1 team in the entire nation, Oklahoma, in your house. And it's not just a game. It is a brawl, a literal heavyweight fight.
It was punishing to watch.
South Carolina scores late. They're trailing by just 1 point. And head coach A.C. Jordan, in his first year, mind you, makes the call that, well, it defines a tenure. He doesn't kick the extra point.
Nope, doesn't play for overtime.
He goes for 2. He goes for the throat
Effort.
for the win.
Which I have to say, in that moment, sitting in that stadium, it felt like the bravest thing I'd ever seen. The whole place was, it was vibrating.
It was so bold. It was aggressive. It was everything he promised he'd be. But
it fails.
it fails. The conversion is no good. You lose 38-37. And that is the kind of loss that doesn't just hurt. It haunts you.
Yeah.
It's the kind of loss that keeps 19, 20-year-old kids just staring at the ceiling at 3 in the morning wondering, what if? It creates a kind of a spiritual exhaustion.
And that's the perfect setup. That brings us to the narrative that completely dominated the headlines all week. The trap game.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like we use that term a lot in college football, almost to the point where it loses its meaning. So break that down for someone who maybe doesn't live and breathe SEC schedules. Why was Mississippi State, a team with a losing record, considered such a massive, massive threat?
It's the combination of environment and psychology.
Mm-hmm.
A trap game isn't just about playing a bad team on paper. It's playing a dangerous team when your guard is all the way down.
Okay.
So you have this South Carolina roster that is, as we just said, emotionally drained.
Yeah.
They're physically battered from playing the #1 team in the country.
Right.
And now you don't get a week off. You have to travel to Starkville at night.
Yeah. The cowbells.
The cowbells.
Yeah.
It's weirdly quiet 1 second, and then just this rhythmic, clanging chaos the next that just drives opposing players insane.
Mm-hmm.
And you're playing a team that has absolutely, positively nothing to lose.
That's the dangerous part.
That's the whole thing. Mississippi State knows they aren't going to a bowl game. Their season is over. Their Super Bowl is ruining your season. That is just a volatile, dangerous cocktail.
So the question all week long, it really wasn't about talent. I don't think anyone questioned that South Carolina had the better players, the better roster.
Not at all.
The question was, are they awake? Can they mentally get up off the mat after having their hearts just ripped out by Oklahoma?
The big worry was that they'd come out flat, that they'd be looking past Mississippi State, maybe feeling a little sorry for themselves. And usually, 9 times out of 10 in this league, that gets you beat.
But the answer we got...
The answer we got was a resounding, just an emphatic no. South Carolina 48, Mississippi State 22.
And it looks like a blowout when you see it on the ticker, right? 48-22.
It was a blowout on the scoreboard.
Yeah.
But the way they got there, the actual process of the game, that is what we need to unpack.
Yeah.
Because this wasn't some standard, march up and down the field kind of victory. This was chaotic. This was a game defined by violence and sheer opportunism.
All right, let's dive into that then. Segment 1. The weird box score. I was looking at the data this morning, and it's fascinating. If you just cover up the final score and you look at the efficiency numbers, the play counts, the yardage, you might actually think South Carolina lost this game.
Or at the very least, that it was a nail-biter, that it came down to the final minute.
Exactly. Look at the play count.
It's wild.
Mississippi State actually ran more plays than South Carolina. They ran 67 plays. The Gamecocks only ran 57.
And usually, if the other team runs 10 more plays than you, They're controlling the clock. They're controlling the tempo. They're keeping your offense on the sideline getting cold.
Right. And the yardage. This is the one that really stuck out to me. South Carolina, 395 total yards.
Mm-hmm. Respectable.
Respectable, yeah, but not earth-shattering. Mississippi State, 321.
So a difference of what? Less than 75 yards.
Yeah, less than 75 yards. How in the world do you win a football game by 26 points when the total yardage is that close?
You win with defensive points. And this is, I think, the key insight for this entire deep dive. There's a massive difference between playing good defense, forcing punts, getting off the field, and playing violent defense.
Ooh, I like that distinction.
And on Saturday night, South Carolina played violent defense. This game was defined by short fields, by sudden changes, and by direct scoring from the defense and special teams. It wasn't about sustaining drives. It was about ending theirs in the most traumatic way possible.
And when you say traumatic, you have to talk about the architect of that trauma, the undisputed MVP of this football game.
But without a doubt.
Strong side linebacker, Stephon Robinson. I swear I read the stat line 3 separate times to make sure it wasn't a typo from the wire service.
It looks like a glitch in the simulation, doesn't it? It really does.
It does. Okay, listen to this. 10 tackles, fine, good day's work, 1 tackle for loss, 1 sack, 1 pass deflection, all great.
Yeah.
And 4 forced fumbles. 4 in a single game.
To put that in perspective for you, a really, really good all-SEC caliber linebacker might force 4 fumbles in an entire season.
In 12 games.
In 12, 13 games. To do it in 60 minutes, that's not just a good game. That is a statistical anomaly. It is sheer, utter dominance.
So help us understand the distinction. We tend to lump all turnovers together. Interceptions, fumbles, they're all just turnovers.
Right.
But physically, what is Robinson doing differently here? Why does a forced fumble feel so different to watch? Why does it feel more violent, to use your word?
That's a great question. Because an interception is often cerebral. It's a mental play. You read the quarterback's eyes, you diagnose the route concept, you jump the route. It's about being in the right place at the right time.
It's finesse.
It's finesse, a forced fumble. That is about physics and aggression. It's pure intent. It means Robinson isn't just trying to get the guy on the ground. That's secondary. He is arriving at the point of contact with bad intentions. He is targeting the football.
The peanut punch.
The peanut punch. He's hitting the ball carrier so hard or with such precise, violent placement on the football itself that he's physically jarring it loose from the player's grip.
So it's demoralizing in a completely different way than an interception.
It's terrifying.
Yeah.
It's absolutely terrifying for an offense. If I'm a quarterback and I throw an interception, I think, okay, shoot, I made a bad read. My fault.
I'll get him next time.
I'll get him next time. If I'm a running back and I fumble because a linebacker just blew me up and ripped the ball out, now I'm scared. Now the next time I get a handoff, I'm not looking upfield for the hole.
You're looking for number 11.
I'm looking for number 11. It completely changes the way the offense plays the game.
Yeah.
It makes them tentative. It makes them play scared. Tentative players get hit even harder.
And that fear, that tentativeness, it translated into literal points on the board. We mentioned defensive points earlier. South Carolina scored 3 non-offensive touchdowns in this game.
3. Which is just, it's the golden ticket in football. The analytics tell us this all the time. If you score 1 non-offensive touchdown in a game, your win probability jumps to about 75%.
Wow.
If you score 2, it's over 95%. If you score 3, you basically cannot lose unless you are actively trying to give the game away. It's a statistical impossibility almost.
Okay, let's list them because they were each demoralizing in their own way. First, you had a blocked field goal that was returned for a touchdown.
Which is just a massive, massive momentum swing. Think about the math on that single play. Mississippi State drives down the field, they're in position, they're about to put 3 points on the board to make it a competitive game.
Right, they're feeling good about the drive.
And then, thud. Block. Scoop. Run. Instead of 3 points for them to close the gap, it's 7 points for you to extend the lead. That is a 10-point swing in about 10 seconds of game time.
Yeah.
That breaks a team's will.
It really does. And then, 2 of those 4 forced fumbles we mentioned from Robinson, they were scooped up and returned for scores.
And that connects right back to the AC Jordan identity that we've been tracking all year. He talks about ball disruption. That's his phrase. It's not just some slogan they paint on the weight room wall.
It's a philosophy.
It's a whole philosophy. They drill this every single day. They drill the peanut punch. They drill scooping and scoring. They drill running to the ball. And you saw it in real time. The ball hits the turf, and you see 5 guys in garnet jerseys react a half a second faster than the guys in maroon. That is not luck. That's not a coincidence. That is coaching.
It feels like that's the thing that just breaks the spirit of the underdog. If you're Mississippi State, you're looking at the yardage stats on the sideline going, hey, we're moving the ball, we're in this thing.
We're competing.
And then, bam, fumble, touchdown, bam, blocked kick, touchdown. You can't recover from that emotionally.
It just sucks the air right out of the stadium. It creates this palpable feeling of inevitability. No matter what we do right, something bad is going to happen to us. And that is exactly how you survive a trap game. You don't have to play perfect. You just have to play opportunistic. You let the opponent hang around just enough until they make a mistake, and then you punish them for it instantly and without mercy.
So while the defense was out there creating all this chaos, the offense, well, they were doing something very different. I want to call it game management, but that almost feels like a backhanded compliment in this era of, high-flying 500-yard passing offenses.
I don't think it is, though. I think game management in the Southeastern Conference is a legitimate survival skill, especially on the road, at night, in that environment.
Okay, let's look at Jermaine Paul, the redshirt sophomore quarterback. His stat line for the night, 26 of 36, 222 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions.
Yeah. It wasn't a pristine night. It wasn't perfect. If you get him in a room with some truth serum, he'd be the first to tell you he wants those 2 throws back. One was a force into coverage. The other was just a bad read.
Plain and simple.
But here's the mature part. Here's the part that makes you feel really good about his development and the future of the program. He didn't spiral. We have seen so many young quarterbacks throw a pick on the road in a hostile environment, and they just get the yips. They start holding the ball too long. They start taking sacks. They start forcing things into double coverage, trying to be a hero.
Right. They're trying to win the game back on that very next throw.
Exactly. And Jermaine Paul didn't do that. He threw the pick. He came to the sideline. He looked at the tablet with the coaches. He reset, and he went right back out there and led touchdown scoring drives. That is resilience.
Yeah.
That is legitimate mental toughness.
And we saw the run game really settle into that by-committee approach. We've got Tyler Abraham, the transfer from FAU, and Micah Rhodes, the veteran who's been around. They basically split the workload right down the middle.
Yeah, 8 carries for Abraham, 7 for Rhodes, 40 yards each. It's not flashy at all. Nobody is rushing for 150 yards and making the SportsCenter highlights.
No.
But what it does is it keeps everyone fresh for the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And it brings different styles to the table. Abraham brings that, American Conference toughness.
Yeah.
He's a wall banger. He's going to get you the ugly, tough yards between the tackles. Rhodes is a bit more slippery, a little better in space.
But here is the stat, and I'm not kidding. This made me laugh out loud when I was reviewing the game notes this morning. Who was the leading receiver for South Carolina in this game?
Yeah.
It wasn't Levi Inger, the guy who has over 1,000 yards on the season. It wasn't Ruben Raymond, the big play threat.
It was Stephen Kirkus.
The third-string running back.
The third-string running back led the team in receiving yards.
What on earth does that tell us about the offensive scheme? Is that a problem, or is that actually a feature of what they're trying to do?
Oh, it's 100% a feature. It's the whole point. Think about it from the perspective of the Mississippi State defensive coordinator. You spend all week in meetings. What are you saying? You're saying, we have to stop Levi Inger. We cannot let him beat us over the top.
Bracket him. Put a safety over the top. Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes. So you drop your safeties back. You play soft coverage underneath. And Mississippi State did exactly that. They basically said, you are not hitting the home run ball on us tonight.
So Jermaine Paul just said, okay, fine.
He said, okay, I'll take the single. He just checked it down to the flat, to his safety valve. And Stephen Kirkus is a good athlete. You get the ball in space with a linebacker trying to cover him, and he gets you 8 yards. Then he gets you 12 yards. It's death by 1,000 paper cuts.
It's so frustrating to defend.
It makes this offense incredibly hard to scheme against because they don't have an ego. They don't need the star receiver to get all the stats. They just need the first down. If you take away the deep ball, they will nickel and dime you all the way down the field to the end zone.
And we even saw a brief but really sharp appearance from Amari Cloud, the backup QB. Came in, went 2 for 2, got 32 yards, just kept the chains moving when Paul had to get his helmet checked out on the sideline.
Which is critical. It shows the depth. It shows that the system itself works, regardless of who is under center executing it. The reads are the reads, the plays are the plays.
So the verdict on Starkville, an authoritative win.
It was. They absorbed the early chaos, all the weirdness of a night game and the crowd noise, and then they just imposed their will.
So Starkville's in the books, a
Yeah.
mature 48-22 win,
Yeah.
but now we have to zoom out because this win pushed the record to 8-3, and it sets up the biggest weekend of the entire year.
The Palmetto Series. Rivalry week.
But before we get to the Clemson preview, I want to talk a little bit more about the journey to get to this point, because 8-3 in year one of a new coaching staff, that's just not normal in the SEC, is it?
No, it's exceptional. Think about the standard life cycle of a rebuild in this conference. Year one, you usually go, what, 4-8? Maybe 5-7 if you're lucky?
Right, you're just trying to install your culture and survive.
Exactly. Then maybe you get to 6-6 in year two, you make a bowl game. Then, if you're really lucky and you hit on recruiting, you pop in year three. To hit 8 wins in year one, that is way, way ahead of schedule. That is an accelerated timeline.
We talked about the Oklahoma game earlier, and specifically that decision to go for 2 at the end. I want to circle back to that because you made a point that the Oklahoma loss is actually one of the main reasons they won so convincingly in Starkville. Connect those dots for me.
It all comes down to trust
Mm-hmm.
and belief.
Mm-hmm.
When AC Jordan decided to go for 2 against the #1 team in the country, trailing by 1 with the game on the line, he sent a message to every single player on that sideline.
Mm-hmm.
He told his team, I trust you to win this game right now, not in overtime, right now. He didn't play for the tie. He didn't play safe. He played to win. And even though they failed to convert, the message was received loud and clear. Coach believes in us enough to put the whole season on our shoulders in this one moment.
So even in a loss, it actually galvanized them. It brought them closer.
It did. It forged them.
Yep.
So when they had to go to Starkville a week later, they carried that belief with them. They didn't feel like victims of that Oklahoma loss. They felt like a team that was this close to being the #1 team in the country. That confidence, that swagger, is the only reason they didn't fold when the game got weird in Mississippi. They know who they are now. They aren't just hoping to be good. They know they're good.
And you can see that learning process through the entire arc of the season. Let's talk about segment 3. Program maturity. We saw the early dominance against NC State where they looked great.
Yep.
Then we saw the reality check against Alabama where they just got physically bullied at the line of scrimmage.
Pushed around.
And then the adversity against Arkansas, that shootout where the defense couldn't stop a nosebleed for 3 quarters.
And they learned something critical from every single one of those experiences. They learned they had to get stronger and more physical in the trenches after that Bama game. They learned they had to tighten up their coverage schemes and communicate better after the Arkansas game. This is a team that does not make the same mistake twice. And that is the absolute hallmark of good coaching.
So now all of that confidence, all of that hard-earned maturity, it faces the ultimate test. Segment 4, the state championship. Rivalry week.
It doesn't get bigger than this. This game is why you come to South Carolina to play football. It's why you coach here.
Let's look at the tail of the tape. On one side, you've got South Carolina. They're now ranked number 17 in the country, an 8-3 record. We're calling them the disruptor. And on the other side, you've got Clemson, ranked number 2 in the nation, a 10-1 record. And they are playing for a spot in the college football playoff.
And, critically, they are playing at home. Clemson Memorial Stadium, Death Valley. It's a night game. An 8:30 p.m. kickoff.
I've been to night games there. That atmosphere, for the listener who hasn't had the pleasure of experiencing it, paint that picture.
It is hostile. I mean, truly, genuinely hostile. It is incredibly loud to the point where the ground actually feels like it's shaking. And because of the way the stadium is built, it feels like the fans are right on top of you. There's no breathing room.
And with Clemson being number 2, the tension in that place is going to be just thick. They are expecting a coronation. They expect to win and roll into the playoff. But that tension, that pressure, that is actually a huge advantage for South Carolina. Explain that. How is playing in that environment an advantage?
Think about the psychology of it. Clemson has everything to lose. Absolutely everything. If they lose this game, their national championship dreams are almost certainly dead.
Gone.
So they're going to be playing tight. The players are going to be feeling the pressure of every single play. If they have to punt, you're going to hear the crowd groan.
Yeah.
If they give up a first down on defense, you're going to feel that collective anxiety ripple through the stadium.
And South Carolina.
South Carolina is playing with house money. Nobody, and I mean nobody, expected them to be in this position at the start of the year. They have nothing to lose in terms of the championship, but they have everything to gain in terms of respect and program trajectory. A team with nothing to lose plays loose. A team with nothing to lose plays fast and takes risks. A team with everything to lose plays careful. And in a rivalry game, playing careful is how you get beat.
All right, let's scout the enemy. Who are the players that are keeping AC Jordan up at night this week when he's looking at the film of this Clemson roster?
Well, it has to start with the quarterback, Jonas Williams. He's a redshirt senior. He has seen everything this conference can throw at a guy. He's got over 3,400 yards passing, 31 touchdowns. He's a true dual threat, so he can absolutely hurt you with his legs. But the thing that stands out is how remarkably calm he is. He does not make catastrophic mistakes. He is the engine that makes that whole machine go.
And he's got plenty of weapons around him.
Oh, yeah. Alex Lockett, a running back, he's their red zone hammer. He's got 10 touchdowns, almost all of them inside the 10-yard line. Devontae Tidwell on the outside is an emerging freshman star.
Yeah.
But the name that jumped out to me in the scouting report is on the defensive side of the ball.
Jonathan Massey.
Cornerback Jonathan Massey. He's a projected first-round NFL draft pick.
The ball hawk.
That's the perfect name for him. 6 interceptions this year. He is a predator. He baits quarterbacks. He'll give a receiver a little bit of a cushion, make it look like he's beat, and he'll just wait for the quarterback to throw it. And then he closes that gap with truly elite speed. He basically erases one entire side of the field for the offense.
So for Jermaine Paul, who, as we just discussed, is coming off a game where he threw 2 interceptions.
This is the final exam. This is the biggest test of his career. If Jermaine Paul stares down his receiver for even half a second, if he gets lazy with his eyes, Jonathan Massey is taking it the other way for 6 points. Paul has to be incredibly disciplined. He has to look Massey off, hold him with his eyes, and then come back to his target. One lazy throw against that guy could end the game.
I was looking at the Vegas betting line this morning, and honestly, for a second, I thought it was a misprint. Clemson is favored by nearly 20 points. I've seen it at 17.5. I've seen it as high as 19.5. That seems, I don't know, disrespectful to the South Carolina team.
It is aggressive. But you have to remember, Vegas creates these lines based on power ratings and efficiency metrics. And on paper, on a spreadsheet, Clemson is a juggernaut.
Right.
They blow out the teams they're supposed to blow out. Their stats are pretty. Their margins of victory are huge. But the spreadsheet doesn't have a column for the grit factor. The spreadsheet doesn't show you that South Carolina played the #1 team in the country, Oklahoma, to a 1-point loss. It doesn't show you that they went toe-to-toe with Alabama earlier in the year. This team is not going to walk into Death Valley and be starstruck. They've seen elite speed. They've seen elite size. The spread says Clemson wins by 3 touchdowns. My gut says this is a 4-quarter fist fight.
Okay, so let's get into it. How do they do it? Segment 5, the strategy session. If we are in the war room with AC Jordan and his staff this week, what's on the whiteboard? What is the strategy to beat the #2 team in the country on their home field?
You have to drag them into the mud. You have to make the game ugly.
Define ugly in a football context.
Clemson wants rhythm. Their offense is built on timing and efficiency. They want to snap the ball, throw a quick screen, get a catch, get 5 yards, snap the ball, run for 4 yards. They want to be on schedule. They want a clean, fast-paced track meet. South Carolina has to completely disrupt that timing. This is where a guy like Stephon Robinson comes back into the picture. He has to introduce himself to Jonas Williams early and often. You need tackles for loss on first downs. You need to confuse their blocking schemes with blitzes. If this game is a high-scoring shootout where both teams are getting 500 yards of offense, Clemson wins that game 9 times out of 10.
But if it's a grinder?
But if it's a grinder, if it's 10-10 in the third quarter.
Then the doubt starts to creep in for them.
Exactly. The home crowd gets quiet, a little nervous. The Clemson players start looking at the scoreboard and they start thinking about the playoffs slipping away. They start pressing, trying to make a hero play. And that is when South Carolina strikes.
And what about on the offensive side of the ball? You mentioned the by-committee approach in the run game earlier. Does that same principle apply here against a much better defense?
It has to. It's even more important. You absolutely cannot be one-dimensional in this game. If South Carolina gets into a situation where they have to drop back and pass 50 times, the Clemson defensive line, their pass rush, will eat them alive.
The tee off.
They'll tee off. So they need to be able to run the ball effectively on first down. They don't need 8-yard runs every time, but they need consistent 4-yard runs. They need to stay out of 3rd and long situations. If you are consistently in 3rd and 11 against that defense in that stadium, you are dead. You have no chance.
So it really feels like the mantra for this game is chaos and control, create chaos on defense, and control the emotion and the situation on offense.
That's it perfectly. And belief.
There's that word again. It keeps coming up.
It's the most important word in that entire football building right now. There's a quote from the internal review of this season that really stuck with me. It said, "Year one under AC Jordan was never about finding shortcuts. It was about building something sturdy."
Sturdy, I like that word. It's not flashy, but it feels solid. It feels reliable.
It implies a foundation. It implies that this 8-3 record isn't a fluke. It wasn't just luck or a favorable schedule. It's the new standard. Is what's being built for the long term.
So as we wrap this up, final thought. Regardless of what happens on Saturday, win or lose, how do we view this 2030 season for South Carolina?
It's already a massive, unqualified success, period. No one, not the most optimistic fan, saw 8 wins coming this year, so they've already exceeded all expectations.
Okay.
But let's be greedy for a second.
Let's be greedy. I like greedy.
If they win this game, if they go into Death Valley at night and they knock off the #2 team in the country and ruin their national title hopes, it changes everything.
Guess so.
It changes the next recruiting class immediately. Kids who are on the fence will commit that night. It changes the national brand of the program overnight. You go from being a nice little turnaround story to a legendary season. It honestly accelerates the entire program's timeline by probably 2 years.
So South Carolina arrives in Clemson this weekend, not as a victim, not as the little brother, but as a legitimate contender.
They are walking in there to punch the giant in the mouth. And for the first time in a very long time, they have the fist to actually do it.
I, for one, cannot wait to see it play out. It is going to be loud, it is going to be hostile, and if the last few weeks are any indication at all, it is going to be absolutely wild.
I wouldn't miss it for the world.
That's a wrap on this deep dive. And as always, this analysis was based on the internal reviews and the stats provided to us. We aren't making predictions, just reading the data. But the data certainly points to one hell of a Saturday. Thanks for listening, and we will see you on the other side of the Palmetto series.